All right, we're back. It's time to arrest my boss. Mr. Gavin and Mr. Wright are both in the judge's chamber. They're fighting for who can get the better verdict. Who'd have thought today would have turned out like this? I don't know what voice to give this person. May I? Oh, it's his daughter. Huh? What?
Hello, sir. Please pick a card.
What's all this about? Is this one okay?
Excellent. I have a message for you.
No, I gotta give her. What's a voice? She seems to be like very serious.
Excellent. I have a message for you. The last hand is about to be played. You'll need a trump card to make it.
A trump card?
The card you have chosen is magical. Use it wisely, and the game is yours. That's all. Bye.
And she trips off. An ace. Where do I remember that card from?
Mr. Smith's hand has 3 aces, and Mr. Wright's 2. It's 5 aces in all. It is true. I've seen it. The 5th ace. There was like cheating, I swear.
The missing 5th ace. Wait, this blotch of red. Is this blood?
You have your trump card. Now it's up to you to cut the deck and draw the truth. My father's fate is in your hands. I know you can do it.
Bye! She just disappeared! He's like freaking out. She just disappeared! This bloodstained card is my trump card for finding the truth? I fell deep into thought as my mind raced to understand what all this meant. That girl, I'd seen her recently, but where? If only I had a memory! God, Apollo, it's Phoenix's daughter. Okay, there we go. His memory kicked in. That's when I made the connection. The locket! It's his daughter! Whoa! Could this be the missing 5th ace? La da da da. Oh, he's gone! Oh wait, he's on the defense stand now. Court will now reconvene. Defense Attorney Christoph Gavin, will you please take the stand? Hey! So am I still getting paid after this or no? Now then, if you would, Mr. Payne.
Yes, Your Honor. Will the witness state his name and occupation?
Is this farce really necessary, Your Honor? Believe me, far stranger things have gone on in this courtroom. Yeah, we had a parrot testify in here one time. You remember that? Fine, I'll play along. First, there's one thing we need to have made clear. How did you know about this secret beneath the victim's hat? By secret, I'm guessing he means the fact that Mr. Smith was bald. Forgive my curiosity. What is it about this fellow's head? Your Honor seems to have an inordinate interest in it.
Objection!
Shut the fuck up! Oh, Phoenix! My dad's here! He's like, I have adopted you, Apollo. We'll get rid of this murderer together. I wouldn't call it inordinate, Mr. Gavin. Mr. Wright! What do you think you're doing, Wright? Wow, things sure look different from the other side. You know what I mean, Apollo. Speaking of looking from the other side, let's consider something for a second. The victim wore that hat all night, never once taking it off, except for that one time. That one time. That one time being the instant he was hit. Oh! When Mr. Wright returned from reporting a crime, the hat was lying on the floor. Mr. Wright picked it up and placed it on the victim's head. In other words, in order to have seen Mr. Smith's bald head, you would have had to been there in the hideout. I mean, do we have proof? Like, I'm not trying to doubt you, Mr. Phoenix Wright, sir, but do we have proof that you put the hat back on his head? I guess you could say from the lack of blood in the hat, but I feel like we kind of just accepted that pretty quickly here for the usual amount of loops I have to jump through. Would have had to been there in the hideout at the time of the crime. In other words, I must be the real killer. Is that what you're trying to say? Yeah, the face that you're making right now is like, it's not really that of like an innocent person. Like the looking down on everybody else, the smirk, like it's not doing it. You know what I mean? Not bad, Apollo. Mr. Gavin. I'm afraid that I haven't been entirely honest with the court. What? Oh, I assure you, I had the noblest of intentions. I did it all to protect my client, Mr. Wright, who I've shown so much care and affection for the last half hour of this trial. Yet, I'm afraid in the current situation, I see little reason to hide anything. Very well. Allow me to tell you the truth of what happened that night. Finally, Jesus. You may begin your testimony. Tell us, how were you involved in the events of that fateful night? The rage I sensed in that man that night troubled me, so I returned to the club. Oh, the rage, not the range. I went down to the basement and peeked in through the little window to the hideout. Oh my god, the window's actually coming into play! It must have been right after the murder took place. The victim was dead as he appears in the photo. A bald head, an unconscious girl, and Wright holding a bottle in his hand. I sensed that it was not the best place for me to be at the time, and so I left. That's when the call came from Wright.
So, you witnessed the murder? Like, dude, you could have said something before now.
For better or worse, I missed the actual moment of the deed. Mr. Gavin, may I remind you that you were on Mr. Wright's defense team. Your testimony is clearly disadvantageous to your client. Shut up! I'm trying to get myself clear of murder now. My client does not matter. What else could I say? I'm standing on the witness stand after all. So you are, Mr. Gavin? And you had to testify as you just did. You had to tell them you saw the scene of the crime through that little window. Isn't it, like, blocked off? Like, no, he could clearly see that. I feel like there was something else about that I've seen that would have made that hard to see. I don't know, we'll figure it out. Mr. Wright? You had to say that. Because that was the only probable window of opportunity. Oh, are you? If he actually killed him through the window, I'm gonna lose my mind. I'm gonna lose my mind. Oh. Mr. Wright, the defense should do the cross-examination, not the defendant. What is going on in this courtroom? Everything's backwards. Mr. Justice, are you prepared? Yes, Your Honor. I can't believe I'm going up against Mr. Gavin. My paycheck! This trial is getting weirder and weirder. The rage I sensed in that man that night troubled me, so I returned to the club. I went down to the basement and peeked in through the little window to the hideout. It must have been right after the murder took place. The victim was dead as he appeared in the photo. A bald head, an unconscious girl, and Wright holding a bottle in his hand. I sensed this was not the best place for me to be at the time, and so I left. That's when the call came from Wright. Oh. Oops, my bad! I didn't realize that was the last one. You think, like, by the 5th time I'd remember. Yeah, it was your boss. Yeah. The rage I sensed in the man troubled me, so I returned to the club, went down to the basement, and peeked in through the window to the hideout. I'm gonna press him on this. The little window. You mean the one used to keep watch up the stairs? But, like, look, that viewpoint, I mean, I guess you could have a pretty decent. Yes, a relic of the ancient past. The Black Marketeers used it, I believe. Why did you go through the trouble of peeking in through the window? Wouldn't it have been easier just to open the door and go into the room? I didn't want to upset Wright, you see. Upset Mr. Wright? Yes. What if my fears had been unfounded? I'd be walking in on their match. Bad form, to say the least. So far, everything he's saying makes sense. It must have been right after the murder took place. There's gonna be something here. The victim was dead as he appears in the photo. Let me look at the photo. Like this. Well, if he appeared in the photo, he wouldn't have the hat on. A bald head, an unconscious girl, and Wright holding the bottle in his hand. I'm gonna press him on this. Those were the only 3 at the scene of the crime? Yes, as far as I saw at least. Then we're back to where we started. The killer was the defendant, Phoenix Wright. Who else could it have been? But why didn't you talk to the police? 2 reasons. First, I didn't actually witness the very moment of the crime. Second, my office was asked to defend Wright. Even after seeing what I'd seen, I couldn't abandon my friend.
Objection!
There must have been someone else at the moment of the crime. Justice. I just said I saw no one, not a soul. But that goes against what Mr. Wright said. Are you trusting him over me? No! Ah, yes. This mysterious 4th person. Who would conveniently be the real killer, I suppose. Glad to see we agree, Mr. Gavin. Let me pose a question then. Tell me, what possible reason did the real killer have to swap the cards in the victim's hand? Perhaps you can show us the reason why such a thing would be necessary. How can I show something I can't find myself? Remember, Apollo, the card that was swapped was the 5th ace. The 5th ace, right? Well, Mr. Justice, the question of why the killer would swap out a card has been raised. Can you point to a reason? Well, I'm gonna show evidence. I have a reason. I just need to think about it. It's now or never. The defense would like to present evidence to the court. Evidence showing the reason why a card was swapped out. Just give me a minute. Go ahead and point to your reason, Mr. Justice. Why did the killer take the 5th ace? I mean, the killer took the 5th ace. I know why. Give me a minute. Well, because he would have had 3 aces and the cards wouldn't have made sense, right? I don't know. That's what I'm gonna work with because I don't want to think about it too hard. Is that the right answer? Probably not. Maybe. We'll find out. The reason is made very clear by the— oh, great. Nope, you're wrong. Think harder. Damn it. I see now it was wrong of me to field you in a trial system. Oh, shut up. Wild bluffing and even wilder accusations. You're almost as bad as another defense attorney I know. Oh, I'm sure my office reputation will recover, given time. Once you learn, you can't bluff your way through life or court. No, okay. Yes, I want to continue. I just can't be wrong again. It's not that hard. I sense this into this place today, so I learned. When did I... So it was this. I walked through this line of evidence as to why he had the card, blah, blah, blah. At least I think that's it, because I'm trying to point out why he had to swap the— oh, this has both hands in full view. Oh, because he would have still won— no. Full house beats 3 behind. I mean, I guess I'll just present that and see how it goes. Alright, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm hoping this is it, or else I'm gonna have to go around and try another form of evidence. This is my last life. Because this shows both hands. Don't take my life, please! Oh, shit. I'm sorry! I know what I want to say, I just don't know the evidence that says it. So, the answer is that I'm a dumbass, and then it's this thing, the last of the 3 things I was gonna present, and I ran out of lives. I edited it out, but I figured it out. We're good, we're here. My reason is this! Is this an ace? Why, it's got blood on it. Right next to the spade. What? This is insane. Why wasn't I told about this? Why? I was handed it by a child in the lobby. Is this admissible in court? Could this be? Could this be the missing 5th ace? Inconceivable. How could you? What are you doing with that card? Well, that's the thing. Why is Mr. Gavin so upset? It's not like this is gonna get him found guilty of murder. It's just a fishy card from some fishy girl that has, like, damning evidence on it. Oh, that card? It's mine. That is, I picked it up at the Borscht Bowl Club that night after the murder had occurred. I gave it to my daughter. Cards are her stock and trade, after all. hid evidence and gave it to my child.
Objection!
No. Impossible. Unacceptable. The court can't accept this evidence. It's a fraud. A fraud? How can you be so sure? What? I would think the only person who could claim it was a fraud would be the one who took the real card from the crime scene. The real killer. Allow me to elaborate. What if this trace of blood was the reason? The reason for the killer to take the card out of the scene of the crime. Where are you going with this? Take another look at the photo and at the victim's head. At the moment of the crime, his hat fell to the floor, and a trickle of blood ran from his forehead down the back of his head. Couldn't a drop of that blood have fallen on one of the cards? I suppose. The killer then took the card to hide the blood.
Objection!
And I was right. Oh, I'm feeling good. Regardless, that evidence is non-permissible. Oh, right. Regardless of how you wasted the last 7 years you used to be a lawyer. You know what a serious crime it is to conceal evidence. I mean, I got away with it all the time in the last games. Oh, we can discuss the finer points of our legal system later. What's important now is that I've answered your question. What are you talking about? You wanted to know why the killer would have taken a card from the crime scene. And now I've told you. That one drop of blood would have been decisive evidence, you see.
Objection!
This is baseless conjecture. Baseless.
Objection!
Stop arguing! Holy cow! Oh, I assure you it's quite based. I've seen this screenshot before. What? It's amazing, really, how a single drop of blood on a single card can lead us to the truth. It's quite simple. Well, Apollo? Yes? Try picturing the scene of the crime. In your head. My head? Yes, in your memory. Ooh. The graphics got a fancy upgrade here. The murder took place in the hideout. The body of the luckless victim was found at the poker table. And before the killer swapped a card out, there was a single card with a drop of blood on it in the victim's hand. Given this, there's one decisive problem with this scene. Well, what is it? Let's keep it simple, shall we? Given that there was a drop of blood on the card, whose position in this diagram doesn't fit? Wouldn't it be... Wait, the victims, the killers, the witnesses? Wait, hold on, go back. I didn't understand this. There was a drop of blood on the card. When did we decide the card was in the victim's hand? The body of the luckless victim was found at the poker table. Before the killer swapped a card out, there was a card with a drop of blood on it on the victim's hand. There's one decisive problem with this scene. There's a drop of blood on the card whose position's diagram doesn't fit. Wouldn't it be the victims? Because the blood dropped onto the card and the card was on the table? Yeah!
Take that!
Hopefully. Well, isn't it the victim's position that's the problem? Oh, well, I had a 25% chance. Well, look at the victim. Well, look, the victim was struck on the head, sending him back in his chair. I think any blood would fall behind the body, not onto the table in front of him. Oh, I was right. I was hoping I was right about that. I was like, man, that really feels like a good track of logic, but I've had that and been wrong before. Take a look at the photo again. If he bled in this position, the blood would fall onto the floor, not onto the cards. Why, that's right. So, what does this mean? Incidentally, we were sitting in swivel chairs. Swivel chairs? Oh man. Apollo, try turning the chair around. You can do it, Apollo! How do I... Spin! Spin! How do I spin? Oh. The chair was facing the other way. It would have... Did he actually kill him from the window? I'm going to lose my mind. That no. So we have to assume that the victim's chair was facing away from the table. When Mr. Wright returned from informing the police, which way was the chair facing? When I came back to the room, the body was facing as seen in the photo. That would mean the killer turned the chair back around. Let's take the next step. Look at the diagram once more. We now know the victim was facing away from the table at the time of the murder. But this creates another significant contradiction. Oh man.
Again?
Let's test your reasoning skills again, shall we? Oh, do we have to keep testing me? Like, you've got this figured out, Phoenix. Just do it. Apollo, whose location on this diagram contradicts our I did not read it at all. Apollo, whose location on this diagram contradicts a new understanding of the crime. The victims, the killers, the witnesses, or the second witnesses? Well, the killers. Yeah, the killers does. Da-da-da! I'm feeling good about this one. Hopefully. The victim was struck from the front, correct? Indeed. Well, wouldn't it be hard for the killer to hit him from the front? Sitting where his indicator currently is? I would think it'd be quite hard, yes.
Yes, but what you're saying makes no sense. Why would the victim suddenly turn to face the wall in the middle of a game?
I believe a sufficient reason will soon come to light.
What?
There's something in this diagram that makes far less sense, actually. Look again at the diagram. Apollo, if the victim was struck while he was sitting down as shown here, where would his assailant be standing? Try marking it on the diagram. What? But there's no room to put a mark where the killer should be. Don't worry. Let's think it through and see what we find. It's okay, Apollo. He starts like, it's okay, you're gonna get it. I know it's your first time, you got it. We know the victim was facing towards the wall at the time of the crime. That's something we know for sure. Try to forget about everything else. Where would the killer have to be standing to strike our victim from the front? Well, using your logic, it would be the cabinet. Take that! In the cabinet! The killer had to be standing, well, here.
The killer is not Danny Phantom. He could not phase through walls. You get points for flair, but that's about all you get.
Thought I was onto something here, too.
I hardly need to point out that standing there would be impossible. Unless the killer is Danny Phantom!
And they're like, oh, get him in their corner.
The victim is facing a solid cupboard. Or are you claiming the killer climbed the cupboard and hit him from above?
Ha! Or he was in the cupboard. It's simple logic, really. If this is the only place the killer could have been standing, then that means that, at a very moment of the crime... Wait! I know! At the moment of the crime, Danny Phantom! The cupboard wasn't there! What's this now? I mean, that's the only explanation, right, Mr. Gavin? Your Honor, I have a suggestion for the defense. We should arrange to examine the cupboard and hide it immediately. Bailiff, send a team to the crime scene immediately. Have them try to move the cupboard. Your Honor? What? There's one more thing your men should look for. Please give this to the bailiff. Yes, I see. You do belong in the courtroom after all, Mr. Wright. Glad to have you back. I do my best. But let's forge ahead here while we wait. Look at the diagram once again. It's been changed. If the killer was standing here at the time of the crime, then this cupboard wasn't here, which means... Apollo, try moving the cupboard. Well, it might be up against the window. I guess the window wasn't as important as I thought it was. That's okay. Do I just move it? Or like... Yay! Thank you, Apollo. I'm glad you're using our new 3D modeling technology in your deduction. I still think it would have been more fun if you threw it from the window. And then the problem with the broken glass, but I was choosing to ignore that probability. As you can see, the cupboard was the problem. At the time of the murder, it has to have been shown here. Now everything is in place to reconstruct the moment of the crime. Oh my. What's this? Oh, what is it now? But now our second witness can't see the crime. Oh no! Look at the diagram on the scene of the crime once more. It appears we found yet another contradiction. What I believe to be the final contradiction, in fact. Huh? Oh, dang! Notice something, Apollo? Our line of deduction is rapidly approaching its logical conclusion. Now then, Mr. Justice, please point to the new contradicting indicator. Is it the victim, the kill? Okay, pick. This one's really easy. I mean, oh my goodness. Because then he couldn't have seen it if the file cabinet. Oh, that's crazy. Oh my goodness. Mr. Gavin, you're a liar. About this cupboard, are we all okay with assuming it was moved? Is that good across the courtroom? We good up there? Sure, why not? Well, if it was, something really doesn't fit. The cupboard would completely cover up the window of the stairs. Oh! That's right, someone standing outside wouldn't be able to see in. Someone like Mr. Gavin! What? What did you say? Oh? Is the coolest defense in the West losing his cool? Don't expect me to play along with your little game, right? It's only a game until someone gets killed, Mr. Gavin. And someone was, while the window to that room was blocked by a cupboard. So, Mr. Gavin, perhaps you'd like to explain to the court. Exactly where did you witness the crime scene from? Excuse me, Your Honor. Is this about time? Order! This is a court of law and I will have order. We just now received our word from our investigating team at the Borscht Bowl Club. They've examined the cupboard at the hideout, Your Honor. Oh, and what did they find? It has wheels on the bottom of it. Well, Your Honor, it turns out there is a secret passage behind it. Well, that'll do it. What? And if they ate there frequently, it would make sense that he knew that. Ah, yes, I believe I mentioned something of the sort before. This is one of the tricks to the room that many of our regulars know about. I do remember him saying something about that, now that he mentions it. A secret passage is a handy thing to have when you're engaged in illegal going-ons. Never know when you might need to duck away from the eyes of the law. So the room has a secret passage? Where does it go? The other side connects to the restaurant above. The underworld bosses could get away from the cops and enjoy a cold bowl of borscht, no doubt. Just like our killer. Oh. Well, Mr. Gavin, my thoughts on you making it past the first chapter seem to have been correct. You see where our little line of simple deductive reasoning has led us, Apollo? I see it, but I don't believe it. That girl wasn't kidding when she said I needed this trump card for the last hand. At the time of the murder, the window was blocked to the victim's hat. It was only off his head for the few minutes between Mr. Smith's murder and when Mr. Wright returned from calling the cops. We really did just kind of accept him at his word for that, though. I never had to prove that aggressively. In other words, the only place anyone could have seen the victim's bald head was from inside the hideout. Well, Mr. Gavin? Come on, say something. Dare I ask what really happened that night? Actually, I think we can probably figure it out ourselves at this point. That night, for whatever reason, our killer had a date with Mr. Smith. A date with destiny. There he crouched, hidden in the secret passageway behind the cupboard, holding his breath, waiting for just the right moment. Then the chance came, and he took it. Ugh!
No, I'm dead.
What? Why did you do that? Okay, this is him knocking out the girl. Miss Olga O'Reilly was out cold, struck by Mr. Smith. But as time was soon to come, Mr. Wright went upstairs to call the cops, leaving Mr. Shoddy Smith alone in the hideout with the unconscious dealer. Then our killer stepped out from the secret passage and into the hideout. The victim must have heard the cupboard sliding aside. He wheeled his chair around to look and ba-donk! After the deed was done, the criminal must have seen the blood on the card. He would have, of course, realized that he needed to destroy the evidence. That single spot of blood told the whole story of the crime. Too bad for him he didn't linger around any longer in the hideout that night. If he had, he might have noticed the cars on the floor. And the fact that they were all red! See that? Okay. My boss is a murderer! Well, seems this trial has taken yet another turn. I'm truly, truly sorry I had to see this day come, Mr. Gavin. Mr. Gavin? Mr. Payne!
Yes, Your Honor.
The prosecution will continue its investigation. As for Mr. Phoenix Wright, the defendant, he is hereby cleared of all suspicion. Woo! We win! I go high five Mr. Gavin. Wait, Mr. Gavin, we got him off the hook! It's like, yeah, I give him a hug. Believe me when I say that I don't believe this is happening, Mr. Gavin. But I'm afraid circumstances call for me to issue a warrant for your arrest. Immediately.
Objection!
Oh, I mean, I knew he wasn't gonna go quietly. I want to see him go crazy. I want to see his crazy. They always give him a crazy animation. Oh no, no need to apologize. I rather enjoyed myself. It's not every day you get to witness a legendary attorney's dirty tactics firsthand. Your point, Mr. Gavin? Frankly, Your Honor, I'm shocked. That person of your caliber would be taken in by such a low-grade parlor trick. Excuse me. The defendant is cleared of all suspicion? This is hardly the time for jokes, Your Honor. Mr. Wright hasn't proven anyone's guilt or innocence here. What he has done is use illegal evidence to put the blame on someone else. And not just anyone else, but me, his own defense attorney. Illegal evidence? Yeah, we did have a big conversation about how you can't have your daughter bring evidence into the court and be like, here you go, Dad, you know, like,
Objection!
it's a little bit fuzzy. Let me ask you, Mr. Gavin, is there still any reason at present to suspect me of wrongdoing? Of course. If I don't accuse you, I'm guilty. This bottle, for instance. The bottle of grape juice Mr. Wright was drinking? How do you intend to explain the fingerprints on the murder weapon? And not just any fingerprints. Am I right, Mr. Payne? Oh, I already explained that. It's the, look, the crate. See, because to get him out of the crate, you gotta grab him upside down like that. Or, actually, yes. The fingerprints on the bottle were, upside down. Oh, I seem to recall this being an issue earlier. The court, in this case, demand an explanation. I can think of only one reason why one would hold the bottle upside down, and that is to hit someone with the bottom of the bottle. Well, Your Honor? See how the caught fish squirms to the last. Well, Apollo? Yes? Your boss seems awfully concerned about this bottle still, but I'm sure you can come up with a suitable explanation, just like that. Yeah. No, you have it, Apollo. It's okay, you're subconscious. I have it for you. I got it, don't worry. Why would I want to grab a bottle upside down? No. Don't panic, Apollo. I got this. Don't let him trick you into thinking his explanation is the only legitimate one. Is there really another? Yes! Crap! How else are you gonna get him out of the box, Apollo? You gotta get him out of the box somehow! Take another look at the court record. I believe you'll find a simple answer there. In plain sight. Yes! Yeah, Apollo does make a good point. Just like, tell me! Your, like, life is at stake, dude! Luckily, the subconscious has it. It would be hasty to deliver a verdict with unanswered questions indeed. Well, Mr. Justice? Mr. Gavin said that this court, in this case, demand an explanation. Don't worry, I've got one for you. Justice won't leave until justice is done. Apollo, I'm really glad you say these catchphrases in your head. Perhaps the defense would care to enlighten the court. What evidence? I have it. It's actually easier to show you than explain, Your Honor. Place that bottle on the floor next to your chair. Excuse me, you want my prints on the bottle? I'm not the murderer. Yes, now reach down and pick it up. without getting out of your chair. Ah! See? You naturally go to pick up the bottle by its neck. With your fingers upside down! Oh my god! Everyone's like freaking out. They're like, damn, I never knew that. Work in the restaurant industry, I had that figured out pretty quickly. Look at the photograph taken on the night of the murder. The defendant, Mr. Wright, sat here, playing piano, bottles of grape juice on the floor to the side of his piano bench. He would have naturally picked up the bottles upside down several times. Wow, I can't believe it was that simple. Recall our dinner that evening, Christoph? I was drinking my usual juice then, too. It's juice, not alcohol. We gotta keep the rating of this game low somehow. Basically, you used the bottle on the table to do the deed, but then you must have remembered. So you went and picked up one of the bottles from under the piano, and you switched the bottles. You took one of Mr. Wright's bottles and made it look like the murder weapon. Apollo, like, all the weight of what's happening finally starts sinking in. It's like, how am I gonna pay rent? Order, order, order. What do you have to say to these charges, Mr. Gavin? Fascinating. So this is the legendary attorney's famed tactic of misdirection. Can you, like, just be guilty already? What? You claim that I switched the bottle? Where's your proof? The card in the bottle, the lack thereof a card of the bottle. Proof, well that's no, I have it for you, Apollo, calm down. As I thought, more baseless conjecture. I'm afraid your bottle of proof is quite empty. Ha, you're lying saying that's true.
Objection!
I wouldn't be so sure about that. Your Honor, when you initiated the investigation of Hideout earlier, do you recall I requested an additional investigation? Yeah, to find the bottle that had the card in it. The 5 of hearts. Ah yes, I have your memo about that here. Retrieve the bottles from under the piano at the Borscht Bowl Club. And here's one of the bottles in question. It conveniently is the correct bottle. Huh. What are you going to dust that for fingerprints too? I would be surprised if any were on that but his. I wore gloves. Everything in the courtroom goes silent and like looks at him and he's like, oh no. Mr. Gavin probably wouldn't make such a novice mistake, true. That bottle won't bear a trace of anything. Say, Apollo. Yes? Why don't you go ahead and examine that bottle? Why? It's not gonna change anything. Like Apollo, he's like sobbing on the couch. I don't know what to do. Just humor me. Mr. Wright, that bottle will solve this case once and for all. What? That's some I already know what's in the bottle. It's the 5 of hearts. Ah! There's something in the bottle. Did I fit my hand in there? What's this? That card. Can't be. Recall that unpleasant woman's testimony for a minute. And she's like, unpleasant? Miss Olga O'Reilly? Yes. Our little swindling debauchka. That night, I planted the card like I was supposed to. And Wright lost the last hand, just like he was supposed to. Then Smith searched him. But the planted card was gone. The trap failed. Well, wait, this isn't... You're telling me that this is the planted card you disposed of? The one you mentioned in the piece of testimony. I happened to put my hand in my pocket and found a card. The 5 of hearts. Yes, I snuck a peek at it and found it was the 5 of hearts. I had a feeling something like this might happen, so I disposed of the card before the game. Disposed? Where? There was an empty bottle of grape juice I had been drinking right beside me. I threw the card inside the bottle. Oh, take that, Mr. Gavin, huh? The 5 of hearts. This is the card. The bottles were swapped, and the only one who could have done that was the 4th person in the club that night. You, Mr. Christoph Gavin. Uh-oh. Oh, he's sad. Is he gonna cry? Oh, he's causing an earthquake. He's reassembling the borscht. You appear to be upset. Are we not worried about the fact that he just used levitation on the borscht? I am. That is all. No one else What else gonna talk about that? Okay. Is this your idea of revenge, Phoenix Wright? Revenge? Revenge for the events that took away your attorney's badge 7 years ago? My past is like my logic, straight and true. Nothing's changed. All I did was point the finger of justice in the proper direction. Get it? Because his name is Justice. Okay. Fine. I'm glad we could have this little tete-a-tete. I don't know. Right? This is insane. What about me? Don't I get to prosecute anyone? No, you're not in this anymore. Go home. We'll be docking your pay. I believe this time we're finally come to the end of our trial. Mr. Payne, do you have a report for us on Christoph Gavin?
He's admitted everything. We're prosecuting an arrest now.
I see. Still, one has to wonder why he would do such a thing. Ah, silly Billy. He got too silly. He didn't even have a connection to the victim, did he? None that we know of. Mr. Wright, have you anything to add? I'm afraid I can't shed any more light on the matter. About this victim, Mr. Shoddy Smith. His occupation was listed as traveler? An odd profession to be sure, and that's all we know about him.
I'll arrange a follow-up investigation, Your Honor.
Good, Mr. Wright. Yes. 7 years and you still haven't lost your touch. Christoph Gavin was a man with much significance for me, both as a friend and as a lawyer. He was extremely talented, to be sure. I needed two things before I could confront him. The first is a place where no injustice would be tolerated, this courtroom. The second was a man who would tolerate no injustice. In other words, a defense attorney. You, Apollo. Me? Yeah, I know your boss is like in jail now, but you did the right thing. This is a dark time for our legal system. The twisting of justice brought by our very own initial trial system. Yeah, it is kind of corrupt. We have to set it right. Mr. Wright. Our work lies ahead of us, and I, for one, am looking forward to it. I'm taking you in now, Apollo. You have no choice. You're my son. Well, this seems like a good time to announce a verdict. This court finds the defendant, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Do they do the confetti? Confetti. Yay! That's how you know it's been a good trial. All right. The prosecution, go clean that up. Court is adjourned. Aww. I can't believe I was right about that. Oh, it could have been April 20th at 4:20 p.m., but whatever. I'm gonna assume his, the psychic power thing happened at 4:20. Father! Thanks, Apollo. You came through just like I thought you would. I'm pretty sure I didn't do a thing and you did, though. It wouldn't have happened without you, Apollo. You had some confidence there, bud. It was you who cornered the killer. I couldn't have done it by myself. You sensed it too today, didn't you? Your abilities? Stop telling me I'm psychic! Abilities? You mean when I had that seizure? Yes. You have a medical disability. Yes, a sensitivity I lack. You'll come to understand it soon enough. Wait, I wonder what he means. A sensitivity to flashing lights. I have one question for the witness then. You say you saw the moment the defendant hit the victim? Is this true? Yeah, of course it's true. What's this? Yeah, and here comes a seizure. What was that? Mr. Wright, what's happening? You'll have to find the answer to that question yourself. The answer, right. Today was full of questions without answers. Most of them about me. No, we got a lot of answers. What possible reason could he have had to commit murder? Perhaps you'll learn that in the days to come. Oh, wait, you don't know, do you? This locket is the key. It was a child custody battle. Huh? Oh, that reminds me. I met the girl whose picture is in your locket. Yeah, your daughter. How many times are we gonna see this cutscene? Take a shot. Binge watch this whole series at once and take a shot every time we have this cutscene. Your daughter, right? That's right, she's my daughter. You know, you were right about this locket. Huh? I took this off his neck the night he died. But it looks like our dear Russian scam artist saw me. So the truth is, this locket really did belong to him. I stole his children. Wait, but that's perjury. You testified. You said the locket was yours. I said no such thing, actually. Huh? I merely said that it was a locket with my daughter's picture inside. A subtle distinction, but distinction nonetheless. And it's the truth. Wait, but then why? Why was the victim wearing a locket with a picture of your daughter inside? She's popular on YouTube. Sometimes the straightest path to the truth isn't the best one. Give it time. Give it to the end of the game. We'll have it figured out. We got like 5 more cases. You're still just getting started with your career. Speaking of which, I lost my job. I got my boss arrested. I might be out of a job. I worked for Gavin Law Offices after all. I still can't believe I just saw Mr. Gavin get led away in handcuffs. He's like cussing us out. Apollo. Yes? How about coming to work for me? You mean at the Wright & Co. Law Offices? I mean, there's not a single attorney in my generation that doesn't know of it. I can't imagine that to be true, but... Wait, but didn't you you're not like an attorney anymore, right? Oh, I turned in my badge, yeah, I'm not an attorney anymore. Then, how do you have a law office? You're my only attorney there, Apollo. You and me, a homeless man, and a new attorney. We're gonna make so little money. That incident 7 years ago. That legendary trial that we're gonna be really vague about until it comes up later. In the middle of all of it was one man, Phoenix Wright. The case reached its sad conclusion, and he left law for good. His husband dumped him. He was homeless. Have you ever thought about coming back to the courts? I'm not qualified to stand in a court of law, I'm afraid. Didn't you notice in today's trial? There was a single piece of forged evidence. Forged evidence? What are you talking about? I'm talking about evidence that shouldn't have existed. A naughty magician's trick. I knew it! I knew I was right about those cards. One piece of evidence struck me as odd, it's true. It just seemed, well, too perfect. I'll bet this was the forged evidence. I mean, wouldn't it make sense that it was the ace? Take that! It was a little convenient. You mean this, don't you? I got this from your daughter, Mr. Wright. Yes, that card couldn't have been found at the crime scene. Why? Because the killer took it with him when he left. Leaving the wrong card in its place. Luckily for us. The court can't accept this evidence. It's a fraud. A fraud? How can you be so sure? I would think the only person who could claim it was a fraud. Would be the one who took the real card from the crime scene. The real killer. My verdict was already handed down 7 years ago. Now I cheat. With magic. Then you really... Yes, I forged this card. One look at the crime scene should have told you it wasn't real. But you can't do something like that and call yourself an attorney. He's like, I just said I wasn't an attorney. Who's calling themselves an attorney, Apollo? So it's true. The rumor is true. Oh, I'm gonna work with a criminal. 7 years ago. None of that matters much now, does it? See, look, they're gonna be super coy with what happened 7 years ago. Oh, I'm screaming. And did I slap him? I punched him. Oh, God. So I know I just punched you. Can I still have that job? The cops over here really don't care. It's your story from here on out, Apollo. It's called Apollo Justice, after all. Perhaps I can help you turn the next page. My office's address. Drop in if you like. It's a volunteer position, though, so, just know that. Mr. Wright. Oh, about your uppercut? Try yelling, "Take that!" next time. I find it packs a little more punch. And Apollo, thanks for today. I had a good time. It was fun. I did have fun. And that's what's most important in a court of law. And with that, Mr. Wright walked out the door. And I'm homeless, jobless, and broke now. And that's how my first trial ended. a lot of mysteries went unsolved. And at the time, I had no idea they were all related. Every mystery that day connected by a single thread of logic. I'd find that out soon enough. My name is Apollo Justice, attorney at law, and this is how my story begins. End. I mean, look, we beat the first chapter. And my predictions were pretty good. Not, some of the details were a bit fuzzy. I chased some things that I didn't need to chase, but I mean, overall, I would say that went pretty well. We'll do next episode next time. So thank you guys. I'm playing all of these, whether you like it or not. So, bye.